This is a square, but this is also a square. In fact, all of these are square, and this is square. Confused yet? If you're newer to woodworking and you're wondering what tools you need and how big of a space you need, I've got a free download for you. The link to that is down below. I have a wide selection of free woodworking plans. A link to those will also be down below. The idea of square is a core component of woodworking. It refers to a square angle, which is 90 degrees. So when two pieces of wood come together to form a 90-degree angle, they are said to be square to each other. When the face of a piece of wood comes to a 90-degree angle with its edge, that's also square. If all the faces and edges of a piece of wood or an entire project are 90 degrees, that piece or project is called square. Getting square angles in a project is important for the fit of the various pieces. If you need 90-degree angles and you're off, then the project won't fit together properly. There are several common tools that measure for square. Probably the oldest is the tri-square. This is a really simple tool made up of just two parts, the stock and the tongue. Put the tri-square up to an angle either inside or outside, and if the parts register across the tongue and the stock with no gaps, then the angle is square. Now that's assuming that your tool is actually square. The tri-square is also great for marking a line that is perpendicular or square to the edge. The stock is made thicker than the tongue so that it registers against the edge, and as long as the edge is straight, then you can mark a square line across the face. We do this to mark for crosscuts. There's also tools like this speed square, which is a bit different from a tri-square because it does some other carpentry type measurements, and because it's not open here in the middle, it can't measure outside angles. The combination square is probably the most versatile tool in the bunch, but I've found that if you don't spend quite a bit to get a good one like this one, that it seems to be a lot easier to get one that's out of square, and that just means that it doesn't come to a 90-degree angle, so it's pretty much worthless. A combination square can do everything a tri-square does, but it also has a 45-degree edge for marking those angles, and it can be adjusted to different lengths to make repeated measured marks. This is a carpenter square, but it's not the best for woodworking. I use mine from time to time for longer measurements, but not very often. The reason it's not great is because it doesn't have a shoe or a thick stock that registers against the edge, and you've got to tilt it down a little bit to try to register it on the edge. The biggest square I have is a T-square. These are used for drywall, but they're also great for plywood. All of these tools have their purpose, but they're not very helpful if they're not square themselves. There's a quick way to check this. Find an edge you know to be straight and flat like the factory edge of a piece of plywood. You can use your combination square or the tongue of a tri-square to check for flatness. Just set it on the edge and then look for any gaps. Now register the square on that edge, draw a line, flip the square over and draw a second line right on top of the first. And if those two lines diverge from each other at all, then your square is not, well, square. If the lines are just slightly off, then I would just go with it. Close is close enough. It could be that the edge is not perfectly straight. Now if they're way off, I would just use a different square, but there are ways to adjust certain squares if you want to try to do that. Don't forget that if you want to know what tools you need to start woodworking, or if you're looking for free woodworking plans, I've got free downloads for you, and the links to those will be down below. Head over to one of these videos, and I'll see you over there.